Yep.
Oh, now you're done. Jeez Louise, I need that room, guys. I need you to help me pitch the room.
Hey folks, please join our great community at RivianStories.com to get all the latest updates, pics, and videos from Rivian owners and fans. We also have t-shirts, hats, and gear guides for your next adventure. Hope to see you there. All right, guys, it's good to see you. Yesterday we had a great chance to catch up on some phone, and so I feel like we're just ready to jump in today into the RS family and the YouTube audience and all that. We're getting back on a cadence. We also have some other things planned with the actual Rivian R1 vehicles, so that's going to be fun. But Skylar, why don't you kick us off with the event that you had last night in Austin? Just take a minute or two and give us a little recap.
Yeah, so we had our very first Rivian meetup in Austin last night, and it was super cool. So there was 12 Rivian vehicles that showed up, and 2 of those were SUVs, so mine
Very
and
cool.
one other. Yeah,
Awesome.
and yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing more R1S vehicles out there. But main takeaway is that it was so much fun, and everybody is so cool, and it is so neat to be able to meet people in person that you've only seen or talked to or corresponded with online. And and even some people that I hadn't met online. So super cool, and just a great bunch of people.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And
that is.
I'm actually representing today the Bay Area Rivian Club. Sent me a shirt, so I'm sporting that. And we did get our Lone Star Rivian Club stickers, so got to hand a few of those out last night. And
Very cool.
yeah, thanks to Rivian Dad Scott Lunt for helping with some of the logo designs that we're using for the clubs over on Rivian Stories. And yeah, I'm so excited that we're actually doing things now and doing things in vehicles. And you know, coming up, there was actually some people that they came to the meetup last night that were not aware that we were going to be doing kind of an off-road overlanding type event, middle of October. And anyway, so I think we picked up a few more people that want to join us doing that, which was cool.
Awesome.
With vehicles or without vehicles?
So there was both, actually.
Very cool. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's
So yeah, there was people that just came to see the vehicles, and I know at least 1 or maybe 2 that want to ride along in an open Rivian seat, which is cool too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
No.
So I'm on the RS site for those of you who haven't ever been, and if you go and click on events tab over here, you can see some of the events that are coming up. Now, depending on like where you're at, and if you register, you can see that stuff that's nearby and whatnot. But I'm just giving this a shameless plug, because the more people we have on here and putting in their location, the more of that kind of action we can get that Skylar just mentioned. And you know, all the online stuff is great, but I agree, Skylar, there's nothing quite like being together. Good vibes in person for sure. So give a look through here. I know that Jimmy, last time we were on the RS backer chat, not this past Monday, but the Monday before, you'd kind of reference this page too, like, hey, go check out the events page. There's a lot coming up in October. So we'll extend that to the RS fam if you weren't there, and then also to the YouTube crowd too. Maybe there's something by your area, even if you don't have a Rivian, or even if you're just a brand new fan, that you can go and see, because most of those events, that's welcome. That's part of why they do it, is just to show it off to brand new people, people that are wanting to see. Maybe they have a pre-order and they still haven't gotten a test drive or gotten to see one. So, but even if you're brand new, check it out. Awesome. You know, yesterday as I stopped sharing this, let me see if I can. There we go. Yesterday as I was heading up to Peoria, it was my first time in Springfield while driving that I passed another R1, and it was a truck. But it was cool. I looked in my rear view and and it was a kind of like a 3-lane turn lane and then 2. And I was in the right and they were on the right, so there's plenty of action in between us. We didn't get quite like the connection probably we wanted, but at least saw one.
You know what? Maybe we need to put a special group or topic on Rivian Stories for misconnections.
I'm telling you, man. Ever since that first one, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and also referencing something that I already did, which is the RS Backers Chat, which was just a couple of weeks ago. What we thought we would do as far as this recording is maybe rehash just a top question or 2 or 3 that come to mind. So I'm going to kick us off with the one that was interesting to me because it caused me to think. And the question went something like, after a month of ownership, Skylar and Kyle, after a month of ownership, are there any surprises? And actually it said, what are the surprises? And so I wanted to loop back around because I did think of a couple things. One thing that I mentioned, I'll just mention that later. Skylar and even Jimmy, if you want to remember back to those days, take it away with anything that surprised you after a month of ownership with your S.
So it surprised me how I actually love it more and more every day. I mean, it's not like an initial infatuation that's worn off. And, you know, I think you and I feel the same way, Kyle, but the more I drive it, the more I love it. And actually, earlier this week, after getting into my truck and my wife's Jeep, I mean, yeah, I am forever ruined by Rivian to other vehicles.
Right.
And I think the other one that I brought up on the Backers Chat was just in the heat, at least down here in Texas, how hot the front gets was a little bit surprising to me. Like, definitely not somewhere that you'd want to put cold groceries or something like chocolate or anything else. At least during the heat in the heat of the summer.
In the North Midwest, we like hot chocolate. It gets cold, so.
There's a difference between hot chocolate and melted chocolate.
True. Yep. No, as far as jumping onto that, and Jimmy, you can, if you want to jump in, you can. But I know that when it first was asked, we kind of thought, and I kind of jumped in and said what Skylar had put, just, you know, as far as true surprises, the only thing is I knew I'd like it, but it's just grown on me. I didn't expect to kind of like it more and more. I've told a handful of people that the first 5 minutes you're getting used to, if you've never driven electric vehicle with such strong regenerative braking, you're getting used to the feel. And then the first few hours, you're just kind of taking it all in. And then by day 2 and 3 and 4, it's just fun. And then it only gets more fun to drive. And then just the whole experience of it, just kind of learning I've loved for sure. So I thought of a couple other things, though. And I mentioned this a little bit on the chat. I was surprised at how much I've actually paid attention to not just efficiency but overall range, but that I think is a narrow or edge use case because I'm doing these commutes that are 80 miles away and coming back, and there's no fast charging at the town that I'm frequenting, which is Peoria, Illinois. So if there's any mayors from Peoria on right now, let's go. There is a Tesla supercharger there, so I would love if I could get some access to that in time, and there's been talks about that. But, you know, I know that in time, this infrastructure will be built out, and it's less of a concern. But I'm just paying attention because sometimes I'll have something come up to where I could go up there and I only charged to 70% because I didn't think I had a trip on the radar. And so I'm like, frick, I can't go. Or I need to do it to Plains first, get my wife's, you know, because I don't have time to charge up to what I need. Because I've been really needing to get to 85%, and sometimes I go more. I've gone 100 a couple times just to make sure, because I have multiple stops when I get there. So that's been surprising to me, because on all those episodes we did, about 400, 300, I was like, I'll never even look. I could care less. I think, Skylar, you're opposite. You were like the data freak, and you've kind of just been like, I could care less about efficiency, because you're around town, right? So you're surprised in that a little bit.
Yeah, well, and that I surprised myself with that, just because I'm such a data guy, such a numbers guy, but I don't care about efficiency, because I don't have any regular trips where I'm stretching things.
Right.
And from my perspective, efficiency doesn't matter at all around town. And as long as you're on a route that has decent fast charging every 100 to 150 miles, like it's a complete and total non-issue. Now, people will probably bring up charger reliability, which is a very real issue, especially with Electrify America right now. And if there is a down charging site, that could hose you. But at the same time, if you're looking at 100 extra miles, I don't know, does that help you or not? It may or may not.
Honestly, I'm right there with you. It's funny. I didn't mention it at the backers chat, but literally this past weekend while Nick and I were camping, we were laying up in the tent fixing to go to bed, and we were talking about the truck. And one of the things that I brought up was, like, we own this thing. Like, this truck that we are sleeping in a tent above is ours. And I guess I wrap it around too to like the tool that is it's been the tool that has driven us to get outdoors again and do all these things that we used to do as kids. Everything that I've talked about every day is like the first time that you've driven the truck to me. No other vehicle has done that for me. They eventually get old after a while, and this one, it just hasn't. The thing actually that I find most surprising as well is the amount of looks you get. I find myself more cognizant of the people around me than I have in any other vehicle. And the reactions that you see from people are stinking hilarious, man, some of them.
Yeah. And I wasn't surprised, because everyone gave me that warning. And, I mean, so I expected it, I guess is what I'm saying. But even yesterday in Peoria, I was at a stoplight and just kind of had to do a double take, because someone was like waving me down with their window down, so I rolled my window down. They like want to have conversations with you at the stoplight in traffic. I love it. So I roll it down, and he's like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely. Yep, check them out for sure." And then off we go, sort of thing. But yeah, for sure. I'm going to throw a couple other small ones out there. I am surprised how clean I've kept it, okay? Just straight up. I've kept it clean, Jimmy. Every Saturday, and sometimes in between, I can't stand it. I know that part of that is I'm showing it off so much that I want to keep it clean. So in addition to keeping it clean, I'm super surprised at how uncluttered I've kept the inside, which leads me to another thing. I'm surprised at how often I've shown off the frunk, at least once a day now, but at the beginning, like a billion times a day when everyone was coming over that I knew. But what I'm surprised I'm not using it very much. And I think it's because every time I use it, like baseball stuff, I take it out so that I can show it off again and like lift it up. And you know what I mean? I'm kind of still in show off mode with how I'm keeping the inside, even the back. I'm surprised it could be creature of habit, but I still will go to the back lift gate to put stuff in. Another little surprise, I'm surprised at how much I can fit back there, even with the third row folded up in a seated position. There's a good amount of room back there, and surprised at how much I love the tailgate, the split lift and tail, but I love that space back there, but I find myself emptying it out every time because I'm showing it off so much, and I think that maybe it shows better when it's uncluttered. So at one of these points, I'm sure I'll make the transition to where I don't mind it being a little dirty, and I don't mind it being a little lived in for now. Or maybe I'm just going to become a convert, Jimmy. I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a good
good
There's
balance.
also a good balance to actually show off what you can fit back there too.
Right.
Similar to Rivian's, what can you fit in here post that they did on Instagram a while back. Staged versus, granted it was real, but like a real person, as in Kyle Schultz's stuff. Like what does he fit back there? Type of experience for others to see. Why not?
Yep.
But I do like to see that you keep a clean truck though, don't man? That's impressive.
I have been.
I'm proud of you.
That part, like seeing it clean, is a little addictive.
Yeah.
Like, it looks great.
Are you looking out the window at it? Like, is that why you're glancing over your shoulder?
Payson's trying to do trick shots out here with his football, and so I keep looking at him.
Which he did an amazing trick shot video. I don't know if we end up putting this portion on YouTube, maybe you should link that, just because
Payson
was so cool.
wants a little love from Rivian Stories for his channel. So, maybe I'll link to one of his latest trick shot composite videos. But he's also planning on doing a Rivian segment for his channel. Because I said to him, I'll definitely link to that. I'm like, but you got to come up with some content. Maybe it's like your favorite thing about the back seat and the Rivian, or maybe it's something like come up with something, or your top 5 list somehow. But if you post a Rivian video, I got you. Like, RS community will support that video.
Yeah, hopefully it has nothing to do with footballs or basketballs flying at the Rivian. You need to put down some rails there, Kyle.
I do, and especially Jimmy would flip. Jimmy at one point told me, you got to PPF that crap. Can you imagine, like, your kids? I'm like, oh, I can imagine. There's many scratches along my doors from my kids pulling into the driveway or garage on their bike. And Jimmy, there's been some close calls. I might have to do a full PPF, because our house is Grand Central. We live in a neighborhood at the end of a cul-de-sac. Great spot for kids, and so high risk factor.
Yeah. That bike would be at the street for trash pickup the next day.
As a little bit of a preview of what's to come, I know that we mentioned this a little bit at the beginning of the show, and we're kind of kicking off some of that, but Skylar's been capturing some GoPro footage. He had a little outing with another RS member, Bill, a couple weeks ago, and is kind of getting into some editing stuff with a GoPro that our buddy has helped us learn. And then big shout out to Suresh there. I'll just go ahead and name drop him. Jimmy has some stuff. I've got some stuff. We do know, we just want to let you know, we do know that we got to start coming at you with some vehicle stuff. So we are. It's just kind of been a weird catch of timing. Right as we got this vehicle after 4 years, I started a brand new gig that's been all-consuming, but I can feel some of that pressure, or, all-consuming kind of thing lifting. And so this weekend is homecoming for Traeger. I'm not going to let him drive it, don't worry. But I will be making some videos. I got, which he can't even drive. He's 15, but you know what I mean there. I will take him in it, that's for sure. It'll be a sweet ride.
So another comment just about some of the kind of more vehicle related content that we're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. If people don't already follow Rivian Stories on Instagram,
yes,
there may be a good amount of content that we throw over there that's just short videos, tips, tricks, things like that. That are of the vehicles or specifically about the vehicles. So I just tell people to follow Rivian Stories on Instagram if you haven't already, because there will be some stuff there that you won't see on YouTube.
All right, folks, that's it for this one. Again, catch the entire episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite podcast app. Until the next video, we'll be hanging out at rivianstories.com, so we hope to see you there.